Welcome everyone. This is a webinar series of digital trends in corporate treasury and trade. And it's presented by Casterman Advisory and Finnish FinTech ecosystem. Andre Casterman, the founder of Casterman Advisory, is a FinTech consultant advising clients on payments, trade finance, and capital markets. Andre spent 20 plus years at Swift, leading various technology innovations in the interbank payments, corporate payments, and corporate treasury and trade finance, of course. Finnish FinTech ecosystem sets the scene for Tomorrowland of financial services ecosystem with the traditional players and FinTechs. FFE collaborates with other financial services as a whole, and consultants, associations, tech players, and law firms. The aim is to develop innovative and value-added services for the end customers. My name is Sirpa Kosonen. I am a partner at Finnish FinTech ecosystem together with Kirsi Larkiala and Harri Lauslahti. I'll be the technical support today of this session on how to get paid faster when using documentary credits. And Andre will be the moderator. If you have any questions during the webinar that you'd like to ask the speakers, please use the Q&A box. So digitizing trade finance is a complex and long journey, which is why focusing on specific use cases offers the shortest path to tangible benefits. Automating the checking of trade documents is a low-hanging fruit and helps both exporters and their banks to accelerate the checking of documentary credits and to decrease the day sales outstanding, or DSO. So let's start with today's session and focus on how to get paid faster when using documentary credits. Andre, maybe you can introduce today's speakers.
Yes, certainly, Sirpa, thank you, and welcome to all of you. Delighted to see so many of you today with us. We are building with Finnish FinTech ecosystem and myself representing the FinTech space in trade finance. We are building on the two events we organized for the Nordic market in 2019 and 2020, when we brought to you what we called at that time actionable innovations that can help banks and corporates in the short term, in weeks, in months, rather than in years or decades, as we sometimes see. So we thought we'll come back to you in a digital form. This is trendy these days, and here we are with a series of fintech-centric webinars that we are bringing to you on a regular basis on Wednesday afternoons. So delighted to be working with Sirpa and Kirsi again here. And today, indeed, we want to focus on automated doc checking. And if you haven't heard about automated doc checking, you will do today, but you're going to hear much more about it because the industry is really aligning on the fact that this is the growing, a very promising innovation that is brought to you by TradeStream. So a few words of introductions. I work with close to 40 fintechs as part of focusing on trade finance, mainly as part of the ITFA fintech committee. And common characteristics of those technology providers is that they are really laser focused on being the best at one specific value proposition. They are not trying to boil the ocean. They are not trying to tell you you have to change completely your way of working to get more benefits. They are telling you we are focused on this problem statement, and today we're going to focus on automated doc checking, and next week we'll talk about another topic. And this is where the value can be proven by being very specialized. So those fintech players are extremely agile because thanks to the early adopters' input, they are adapting their product roadmap and really become strategic partners of corporates or banks, depending on the value proposition, sometimes of both. And they are bringing to you the latest technologies because indeed technologies have evolved a lot over the last few years. And there are things we can do now we couldn't do 10 years ago, in particular when it comes to text processing, AI, data manipulation, and so on. also very important, they are not trying to change what is working. All those fintechs, and that will be the same for today, and I think very relevant for those of you relying on the letter of credit. They are compatible with existing business practices, existing processes, internal processes on the corporate treasury side, on the trade side, on the banking side, and with existing systems. So they are adding technology on top of an existing technology environment, technology stack, as some people call it. So that is very important for the time to market, for the financial business case, because they are not trying or requiring things to be changed. I'm coming from the SWIFT world where I spent 24 years, and indeed I know how hard it is to change systems and processes on the wholesale side, which is why I strongly believe, and I've been active since 6 years, working with those fintechs to add the technology on top of existing technologies, such as SWIFT as a channel, such as the SWIFT standards, and so on, in trade finance, instead of trying to change what is working. So we believe automated doc checking is a low-risk, high-benefit proposition for banks and corporates, and certainly it addresses key needs of today market trends, or that we see in today's market, regarding transaction transparency, risk management, digital client experience, and these are strategic priorities that we see banks focusing on. So I will not tell you all about it, of course, because we have 3 great speakers today. First of all, we have Uzair Bawani, who is the co-founder and chief revenue officer of TradeStream. You have met Uzair in 2019 and 2020 to talk initially about TradeStream, and things have progressed since then. There's much more to share today. Uzair is an entrepreneur with global experience in building businesses, and performed his first MBO in 2003. We also have, as part of the TradeStream team, we have Adam Kasraoui, who is based in the UK, similar to Uzair, also working for TradeStream and supporting the business development efforts. He's coming from the trade space indeed, having worked for Bolero, which is a well-known electronic bill of lading digitization platform that you surely know. And definitely Adam will be telling us today more about how TradeStream is helping the corporate segment in particular. We also have Rai Gadia, who is also based in London, working for TradeStream and focusing on driving indirect sales, origination, and business development across global markets, having an extensive experience with Citibank and Bank ABC across corporates and FI clients. So we have quite some strong technology and banking experience. So first, I'd like to ask Uzair to get started to tell us indeed about TradeStream as a business, and how it was formed, and what has been your journey so far.
Thanks, Andre, and thanks everybody for joining today. It's been an exciting journey over the last 4.5, 5 years almost now. An idea that was really born with a colleague of mine, Achille, who ran Citibank's business out of Milan, and over a few espressos in a day like today, a lovely summer's day, we talked a lot about some of the opportunities. And it's gone from what was really an idea, looking at trends in the market and digitization, into what is now become a really exciting opportunity. We are largely coming from solving a problem in the trade world. So we built technology to fix a problem, rather than we're a great technology company and let's find some use cases. So we've really, the genesis of our business comes from understanding the challenges that banks and corporates face today in trade. And I'm delighted with the way the industry has evolved, the fact that this is now very much a use case and a huge opportunity to move forward. So yeah, very excited about that. Sorry, I closed my window. There's some work going on outside.
Good.
Even though it's very warm today, but anyway, yeah. So that's how it's all started, and we're now, as you know, just closed our Series A round. Team of about 130, 140 people, and excited to be working with many banks and corporates around the world.
Good. And can you tell us about the use cases you see in the market and how TradeStream addresses those?
Sure. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of emphasis on value in what we are doing today. And I think it's important to understand that when we look at use cases, there are many reasons why people want to do the automation of document trade. And the obvious one, of course, is efficiency play and the fact that you can help your document checkers to make their job faster, easier, and simpler. But there's also other factors like risk mitigation, digitization, data in one place, audit, and all the value adds. So when we look at value and use cases, there are many facets to it. I think, one of the things that we've done recently, and I think this has been, publicly reported in the press, was Standard Bank as a customer that we've been doing a lot of work with. And as you know, Standard Bank South Africa, largest bank in South Africa, and I think second largest bank in Africa. We now are in full production with them. They use our platform for all their document checking. And again, what was recently reported in the press, they now rely on the machine to do their checks up to a certain level, and then it goes for a warm body check over a certain threshold. So I think they've proven as a very, very simple use case that the machine works. You can trust the platform and that it does things, including all the UCP 600 rules, the ISBP rules, and all the various clauses that are coming to an LC, particularly around fields 47A, and able to interpret and understand that. Our standard process with the customer is obviously to start looking at their current processes, and we are working with a couple of corporates and banks actually in the Nordics, where we've put together very clear, had half-day workshops to understand their trade process, understand what they do, and then overlay that with our own processes and show the value. We're working with another bank in the UK where I think we've shown a 67% reduction in the processing time for their documents. So I think there's many use cases, and obviously delighted to work with anybody and talk to anybody on this call today to sort of talk through some of those real use cases. Because as I said, the differences in what people want often is quite different. But I think another example, another large UK bank we worked with, we did a pilot of 75 transactions with them. The platform picked up 104 discrepancies that they missed. And I think, so if you look at risk, there's a very good example of risk value add. So I think there are many assets to it, and very happy to speak to people about that. But I think we've got plenty of strong evidence to show the value and the benefits of the platform today.
Very good. So I see definitely you're part of the ITFA FinTech committee, and this is how we involved you on those 2019 and 2020 events. But you're also active on the ICC level. Can you tell us more what is happening around automated doc checking at ICC?
Sure. Well, that's a very timely question, because today, as many know, I was asked to co-chair the ICC Doc Automation Group under Michael Frontamidis' Digitizations group. And over the last, 11 months, 12 months now, I put together a team and a group, myself and Marissa, who's at Lloyd's, who runs the innovation there. And we basically developed a paper, which was published on Friday. I think it was Friday it was published, which is now available, and it's on my LinkedIn and everywhere else, which basically talks about how to automate and how banks need to adopt the tools for document automation, i.e. make it more mainstream, make it more real, and this actually works. This is not a luxury, nice to have, this is really cool. This is now, you can use this and go into it straight away. Our platform is extremely agile. I joke with customers, they laugh at me when I say, you want to go live next week? You can be live next week. It's that simple. And see the benefits straight away. So the ICC paper has been written with putting together a framework with an understanding of everyone has different stages of automation within their business. And we've used the analogy of the driverless car, where if you have levels of 0 to 5 in automation, 5 being I don't touch the steering wheel, 0 being I'm still using a manual car, what level are you on the automation journey? And I think, again, for those on this call, and I say this all the time with my ICC hat on, is I would encourage everybody to dip their toe and to actually see that this actually can work. It's a very simple, it's a very OPEX-based model, and it really can make a difference. So the ICC paper is really focused on looking at how banks and corporates should adopt this. And, I'm really delighted the team we have on the ICC. We've formed a really strong team with many of the global banks participating and large global corporates. So please, feel free to look at the ICC website, look at my blog. We're really excited to use it and happy to speak to anyone about that in more detail if needed.
Great. Maybe Sirpa, we can share the link to Uzer's blog after the session. And definitely, if you have any question, do not hesitate to use the chat or the Q&A to submit your question. We can also unmute yourself to if you prefer that channel. So moving on with Adam, can you tell us more about your solution?
Sure. Firstly, thanks, Sirpa and Andre. A pleasure to be here, especially delving into this interesting topic. Firstly, I'd like to use one of our recent clients' feedback in describing our solution. So I asked the same question to an existing client. How would you describe this solution to another client that's not using it? And the response was that it's a specific, actionable, smart solution that challenges how traditional trade finance document checking is carried out today. Uzer has touched on a couple of the points in terms of the background of the business. So the team, huge experience. They've spent the last 5 years developing and adopting best-in-class technology tools with OCR and machine learning. And the idea is to automate document checking. And that's not just for LCs, that's for collections and also for open account transactions. We have this concept of collaboration at the core of our business. So collaborating internally, collaborating with the industry, and collaborating most importantly with the clients to understand what they are doing and how they are doing it. So through collaboration with industry experts, banking professionals, technology partners, and third parties, we have integrated core valuable services in KYC and AML, such as compliance screening, vessel tracking, container validation, and also more recently compliance of or monitoring of dual use goods that's used sometimes in the trade finance space. And we will continue to do this, working with clients to bring together core value-added services. So this has today enabled us to go to the market and deliver a valuable proposition to a corporate. We have a short video we would like to share with the audience today, and this will give you a look and feel of some of the functional capabilities of our solution. So Andre, if you can do the honors, please. It's a short video
Yes.
to the wider audience. Thank you.
Yes, I will share this now.
TradeStream is a document checking solution that reduces the costs, complexities, and timescales of trade processing by automating doc scrutiny and compliance checks. Doc checking remains paper-based, manual, and error-prone, with delays impacting working capital and the increasing risk of fines due to non-compliance. Our system can register LCs, collections, and open account, auto-classify supporting documents, digitize and understand the data, and be able to run 6 levels of trade rules and compliance checks, with all discrepancies validated by your teams. This is a short demonstration of the platform. The platform can integrate with Swift in order to directly ingest the LC information. Data is extracted and understood, being broken down into its necessary component parts. This includes the unstructured clauses and information under clauses 46A and 47A. Workability checks are then automatically run, including any clauses that are information only for the document checker, as well as any validations that might be required. This can then be forwarded for further review. When the supporting documents for this transaction are ready, they can be uploaded electronically or via scanned copy. The documents are then auto-classified with 125 different types already on the system. The user verifies originals versus copies, as well as where there are signatures and endorsements. For each document, the system is able to capture attributes that are required and highlight any that might be missing. The user is then able to draw a square on the image itself in order to capture the information and verify. When enrollment of all the documents is complete, the system automatically runs the rules in the background, ready for the doc checker. Within a minute, the discrepancies are highlighted, including where a clause hasn't been met. Hover over for additional information. Cross-doc checks. For example, where a goods description doesn't match the commercial invoice and the certificate of origin, with the images available for quick reference. The platform also understands metrics, such as weight, geographies, and time. It includes all the UCP 600 rules, as well as ISBP rules, highlighting each where discrepancies may be found. For added efficiency, TradeStream integrates with an ecosystem of compliance providers, including sanctions, DUGs, vessel information through Lloyd's, including live tracking, as well as container validation. All the information is available to you centrally, with an audit trail that keeps track of what changes were made, by whom, and when. Pre-formatted reports of discrepancies can be downloaded and sent directly to end users. TradeStream is a platform by trade experts for trade experts, with over 300 years of combined trade experience and the goal to improve your processing capability and reduce turnaround time. Contact us today on how we can reimagine the world of trade digitally.
I have watched it a few times. I still love it. So Adam, another question for you. What is your delivery model and how do you work with corporates?
Sure, I'll try to address that in two parts. So firstly, our delivery model is software as a service. So we are a cloud-based solution. So from a corporate perspective, you do not have any IT infrastructure costs to lay out initially. It's a subscription-based model. So very easy to implement. The second part of your question on how we work with corporates. We understand corporates ultimately wants to do things cheaper, faster, better, and smarter. And we offer that through automation. So we work with corporates generally to primarily understand their objectives, their processes, what's working well today that we don't need to change in their business, which is sometimes overlooked, and what's not working so well from a documentation checking perspectives. So any bottlenecks, any challenges, and or any critical business issues that we can solve with our solution. Also, it's interesting to understand the cost of no action. So continuing with the status quo, where does that leave a corporate today where all the corporates are and the banks are joining on a mission to digitize? The other piece that is also keen, we are keen to understand, and we've done something about it, is allocating resource from the corporate perspective can be challenging. So there's many various automation initiatives and digitization initiatives in the markets. Michael Vrontomitis references these as digital islands, and to help with process adoption and to speed up implementation, we have designed and created a delivery model to the market, which is called TradeServe. So Uzair mentioned earlier about how quickly we can get things up and running with a corporate in the market today. And genuinely, it is a matter of days. So we understand that everybody's being pushed for time. So we've designed TradeServe to facilitate process adoption. We do the heavy lifting using our expertise and experience, and we can implement the solution in very little time. So the bulk of the work that we need to do in terms of rules and attribute mapping, clause matching, all of this through continuous learning and experience of our platform. Machine learning is applied to a level that we are all comfortable with. So you as a corporate continue to do business as usual.
Very good. Thank you, Adam. One question for Rai, as an ex-banker, how do you see the main benefits to a corporate who is handling financial instruments, of course, on letters of credits?
Hi, Andre, and thank you all for joining. Pleasure to be here. So I think from a corporate perspective, and I'll go on to the bank's perspective as well, but from a corporate perspective, we've touched on this already, but let me go a bit deeper. From my experience dealing with clients and FIs, accelerated cash conversion cycle is a key benefit, resulting from faster payment or discounting upon presentation of LC documents to the nominated bank during the negotiation stage of the process. And that's because using the TradeStream solution, the to and fro of documents between the corporate and the bank is predominantly eliminated on the premise that the documents have been scanned through the TradeStream solution prior to submission of the documents to the bank. So that leads to the accelerated cash conversion cycle, enhanced DSO, and therefore a positive impact on net working capital. Another example from a corporate perspective would be, for example, at the beginning of an LC transaction, an export LC transaction, relating to the workability checks, which are also automated with this solution. As a result, the advising and confirmation of the LC to the corporate is also faster, which is both an internal efficiency, but also an external benefit for the corporate and their customers, the buyer, for example, because unnecessary delays in shipment of goods or demurrage charges are potentially avoided as a result. I think you also asked about from a bank's perspective, Andre. So from a bank's perspective, there is huge focus in many banks to optimize the business operating model, including digitization of product delivery and processes, of course, back to front. So the integration of a solution like TradeStream would for sure give a distinct competitive advantage when facilitating transactions like export LCs. For example, there would for sure be a faster turnaround time to meet and exceed client expectations. And the unique features which were mentioned earlier, like vessel tracking and container tracking, can eliminate delays which can go into days to ensure that the scrutiny and consistency and validation of the related documents is done thoroughly. But via this solution, those delays are eliminated in an otherwise traditionally cumbersome manual and error-prone process.
Very good, thank you, Rai. And at this stage, so clearly benefits for corporates and banks here. And at this stage, I'd like to take one of the questions we got from the audience. Thank you, Ali, for raising this question. I will read it in case not all of you can see it. So Ali is asking about a DOCR rate. He says TradeStream handles the process very good, but without high rate of OCR. So transforming a paper information into digital information and understand the semantic of those data points, automation becomes somewhat idle. So how is the OCR process offered by TradeStream qualified here from a rating perspective?
Yeah, I can take that question. And Ali, very, very important point you've raised. And, you know, I guess when we started our journey, we were obsessed with the automation of the document check. And as we've gone through that, we've also realized that that's all great. But if we don't have a quick and simple OCR solution to extract the data, then it defeats the object of the time and the efficiency and the actual checking. So we are obsessed internally with what we call our turnaround times, looking to see how fast it takes a full document check from when you receive the docs to when it gets put out the door with your discrepancy list. And that obviously then includes the OCR data extraction, the validation of the data, and then checking of the documents. I think Adam said, you know, that the actual checking of the document against the LC is a 45, 50 second process. So that algorithm that has over 260,000 different combinations runs to do a full review of the LC, and so the time is taken in the actual extracting the data accurately. Now, our journey of OCR has gone through quite a few iterative processes, from what was originally this kind of structured approach to how you pull data out, to actually a very intelligent, deep learning, neural network based OCR extraction. And we believe it's one of a kind. So we've really proven, and again, we've got plenty of use cases where a customer we can train a machine where you are extracting, depending on the quality of the documents. I'm going to caveat that a little bit, but depending on the quality of the documents, you can get 75 to 85% of that extraction automated, i.e. 8 or 9 out of 10 data points are automatically extracted. I think to get to 100%, and for anyone to say they can get every document perfect, I think is going to be a challenge, and that's not the case. But what does that mean? If you've got to pick up, let's say, 100 data points in a full document set, if 85 of those data points are picked up automatically through the machine learning over a period, then your individual, the person doing it, only has to check 10 or 15 data points. And if that's all they're doing, then their end-to-end turnaround time becomes much faster. So we kind of have a benchmark from a customer point of view, and Adam alluded to the TradeServe model, where we do a lot of that training for you, where we look to do the end-to-end document check, review of the LC in under 30 minutes. And I think for us, if we can get to that point where we are absolutely extracting and taking the data, then that will only get faster. We're also seeing a trend with many corporates, particularly, and banks as well, but the originators of the transaction, where more of the data is becoming digital. So we can take the data from your SAP system. If we work with some of the providers that do electronic bills of lading, that comes in digitally mapped. And then your OCR solution actually becomes almost redundant. And I think the world is moving towards that stage. And if more and more data is received digitally, then obviously the end-to-end processing time becomes super fast. So very much recognize the importance of the OCR, because we still live in a paper world. And I think we've got a very strong, compelling solution that works very well. We've also got some very impressive UI. We're using various different versions of Vision and other things to use it as a base for the extraction. We've got some very smart guys looking at our machine learning for all the neural network-based machine learning. So recognizing it's an important point, we believe we have a solution that can actually really add value and improve your turnaround time, which is ultimately what this is about.
Yeah, and at this stage, I'd like to reinforce, just to clarify, because we often get that question, that there is the OCR step, which is still relevant because many documents are still on paper. But once they move to digital, structured data, including some free text with free text fields that still need to be analyzed, the trade stream doc checking still remains. So even as the world is digitizing more and more documents and transactions, checking those when they're becoming digital, when documents becoming digital as well, whenever that happens, because that's a slow move in the industry. But even as paper moves digitally, checking the document still is key, and the OCR then will become less important. But still, it's a number of years before all the paper documents become electronic, we know.
Andre, if I can also just add to that point, which is an important point, and that is that, our platform is based on shared learning. So today, with the way we've designed, and we've put over 1 million documents through the platform. So today, if you gave me, let's say, your invoice, and the platform had never seen it before, it would already pick up anywhere between 50 and 60% of the data automatically, because we have trained the platform to understand the data points of an invoice and what they need to look like. So you benefit from all the shared learning. And as the world adopts more of this process, and hopefully on our platform, that learning, not the data, but the learning becomes shared. And that actually helps with the machine learning, and the rates of capture become faster and faster.
So we are digitizing expertise, digitizing human intelligence into the machine indeed. So any other comment, Adam, Rai?
You touched on data, which is the overarching big value in our proposition. So, much of the trade transactional data today is locked in physical documents. And more interestingly, it's locked in the experience and knowledge of document checkers. So when you have document checkers with jobs, retire, get promoted, they take away that knowledge with them. And with machine learning, insights can be gathered and used for better business intelligence. So there is less reliance on human know-how. So that's something that's been picked up a lot in the market.
Yep, definitely. It's a short-term efficiency play, but strategically is more and more keeping the intelligence of doc checkers and trade experts, trade rules experts in-house, even as they retire or leave the corporate or the financial institution. So with this, I see no additional questions. We definitely have a few actions on our side for Sirpa and I to share with you the Uzer's blog on the ICC paper and share the recording of this session in case you want to replay it or share it with your colleagues. Feel free to submit any other question. But
I have
yes?
a question actually. How about language issue? Is there any language issues, or is everything done in English only, or is there any?
Yeah, so obviously by the nature of international trade, there are normally two countries, or bilateral, trilateral, whatever it is. So you'll tend to find everything. And I think we did a stat that 86% of the world's trade documents are in English. So today, all our platform is in English. We do intend to increase that, to look at it. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as a Google Translate, apply a Google Translate and do it, because there are many ways to say the same thing in different languages and in different ways. So we have to build a whole clause library with different versions of it. So our plan is definitely to look at, Spanish has been asked, French, obviously Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, and those are all very much on the roadmap. But today, everything is in English.
All right.
Very good. So do not hesitate to come back to me or Sirpa or the TradeStream team, of course, for more questions, for more documentation, or for more one-to-one demos. We'll be delighted to follow up on that. In the meantime, I'd like to thank the TradeStream team to show up today for this session with Finnish FinTech ecosystem focusing on automated doc checking. And we will be back with additional sessions in the coming weeks, taking into account the fact that the Nordic market is going on holiday end of June. So our planning is very well aligned with this. With this, Sirpa, I'm handing over to you.
Yes, definitely a lot of technological advances are happening for sure, and benefiting the corporate treasuries to streamline and optimize the treasury processes. And in this case, obviously the trade finance documentation. So thank you all, Uzer, Adam, Rai, and Andre, for a very interesting and informative session. And as Andre was pointing out, this session was recorded, so we will send the recording to all who has signed up for the session. And also the next session will be taking place next Wednesday. So be on a lookout for invitations. They will be sent shortly. And of course, like Andre was pointing out already, any additional information you'd like to know about Daystream technology, please get in touch with Andre, and we will make sure that the contact information for him is in the email that is attached to the email that will be sent out with the recording later this week. So thank you all, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.